Starbucks kicked out some police officers because customers did not feel safe around them. And I gotta say, this is the result of people being inundated with propaganda on social media for like 10 years or longer. There are people who have realized police brutality causes rage, and rage causes clicks and makes money. There are whole websites that have raked in millions of dollars simply by posting nothing but police brutality videos, and many left-wing outlets know a good police brutality story, ooh, that's gonna get you money. But in reality, these stories are actually relatively rare, and the likelihood that some cop is going to attack you or do something in a Starbucks is insane. Even if there was a higher, even if it was true that most police officers were bad people who would brutalize you, they're not gonna attack you randomly in a Starbucks. But I feel like it's dominoes falling over. When we talk about what's happening with these cops, we can just take a look and go back in time and see what's happened. Starbucks to install safe needle disposal boxes after employees sign a petition. Why would that be happening? Why does Starbucks need safe needle deposits? Oh, because anybody can just use Starbucks now because of racism. Here's what happens. When you look back at where this all started, it seems kind of obvious something like this would happen. It starts with two young black men being asked to leave because they hadn't made a purchase. People on the left then say it's all about racism, while many others say, look, if you didn't buy anything, you got to go. Now, these young men, I think the story was, it's been a while, said that other people didn't pay either. Why were they being singled out? They were actually waiting for someone to meet them there. So it is rather silly they got removed. Because of this, and because of left-wing cries of bigotry, Starbucks changed its policy and says, you know what, from now on, you don't need to make a purchase to hang out in Starbucks. What ends up happening? We saw a bunch of stories about Starbucks being, now just littered with trash. Homeless people were coming and using the bathrooms. They couldn't kick them out. The bathrooms were being shut down. There was a big outcry over, a wave of Starbucks putting up out-of-order signs because the bathrooms had become so filthy they couldn't clean them because homeless people and mentally unwell people were doing gross things in them, and people were probably shooting up. And that's not, look, people probably shooting up, it's probably why Starbucks signed employees wanted safe disposal boxes for needles. And now here we are. I gotta say, if you're someone who's shooting up heroin in a Starbucks, you probably would not feel safe with police there if you're breaking the law. Now, I don't know why these people didn't feel safe around cops. I think it's silly. There are some circumstances where I'm uncomfortable around police. A lot of people are. But not in a Starbucks. That's so weird. So let's read this story and see what they have to say. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, and a physical address. But of course, just share this video because YouTube doesn't suggest my videos anymore for the most part. So I rely on you guys to share it if you think it's worth being listened to. So let's start from Fox News. Some police officers in Tempe, Arizona say they were asked to leave a Starbucks on the 4th of July because a customer complained they did not feel safe with the cops present, according to reports. 5 officers were drinking coffee at the Starbucks location prior to their shift beginning when a barista asked them to move out of the complaining customer's line of sight or else leave. The Tempe Officers Association wrote in a series of Twitter messages. Rob Ferraro, president of the police union, told Fox 10 of Phoenix that such treatment of police officers seems to be happening more often these days. It's become accepted to not trust or to see the police and think we're not here to serve you. And again, it goes back to, we take great pride of the level of customer service we provide to citizens. And to be looked at as feeling unsafe when you have law enforcement around you is somewhat perplexing to me. Well, it's not to me. Al Jazeera Plus, BuzzFeed, Vox, many left-wing outlets, as well as fake news outlets, have pumped out relentlessly police brutality videos. So while some of it, I think, is justified to call out police brutality, we've gotten to a point where market saturation, right? Businesses trying to make money, produce content to make police look bad, and then you end up with stories like this. If somebody on Facebook only sees police brutality content, they're not going to feel safe around police. But let's get to the actual bigger picture here. Why would 5 customers be removed because one customer complained? Could I then complain that like a group of men dressed a certain way make me feel unsafe and then Starbucks will remove them? Why wouldn't that one person just leave? This is where things tend to be going with outrage culture. One person gets upset and demands the world change around them, and Starbucks says, you got it. What if the police said that person is making all of us feel unsafe, get rid of them? Would Starbucks then go to that one person and say you need to leave? I don't think so. Let's read on. They say the police union also posted a series of Twitter messages about the incident. This treatment of public safety workers could not be more disheartening. While the barista was polite, making such a request at all was offensive. Unfortunately, such treatment has become all too common in 2019. Excuse me. The union said it did not blame the Starbucks corporate office, adding it looked forward to working collaboratively with them on this important dialogue. Earlier Friday, the union tweeted a parody of the Starbucks logo and the words "dump Starbucks" and the image of a hand dumping the contents of a Starbucks coffee, saying, "Don't appreciate Starbucks asking our Tempe cops to leave your establishment on the 4th of July. Several of those cops are veterans who fought for this country. Zero respect," they say. A Starbucks spokesman told the Arizona Republic the company was still gathering details about what happened. "We have a deep respect for the Tempe police and their service to the community," spokesman Reggie Borges told the newspaper. "We've reached out to the Tempe Police Department and Tempe Officers Association to better understand what happened and apologize. We want everyone in our stores to feel welcomed, and the incident described is not indicative of what we want any of our customers to feel in our stores." They say, neither the barista nor the customer who allegedly complained were identified. Starbucks would not say whether the barista would be disciplined in connection with the case. In 2018, an incident at a Starbucks shop in Philadelphia made headlines when two black men who were waiting for a business colleague inside the shop were arrested for trespassing. The Philadelphia police commissioner later apologized to the men, and Starbucks closed some 8,000 locations for part of a business day to conduct racial bias training. So here's the thing. This is not about Starbucks. I don't care if a single Starbucks says we don't want an individual or group of people in our stores. They're a private business, right? The bigger issue is that we are seeing a massive ideological split. The left tends not to like cops. The right tends to like cops. The right will fly the Blue Lives Matter sign, and the left will fly the Black Lives Matter sign. When you ask an average person on the left, they'll probably tell you there's a problem with police brutality, whether or not it's actually true. And it's also kind of an opinion whether or not police brutality is a critical problem or just more of a small but, an edge case problem. Here's the thing. There are instances of police brutality. We've seen many videos. I believe that any cop who breaks the law should be held accountable. I believe there is a problem with communities refusing to police themselves, be it the left or be it the police. There have been many stories about cops who have broken the law and their colleagues defend them and refuse to, quote, cross the thin blue line. They won't snitch on other cops. We see on the police side, don't cross the thin blue line or something to that effect. And on the left, we see snitches get stitches. This is not unique to police, but police do hold a disproportionate amount of power in the public. Therefore, I think it's important. If you're a cop, you have to be held to a higher standard than the average person. But that doesn't mean I'm going to, falsely smear or malign a police officer simply for being a cop. If a cop is seen doing something wrong, they should be held accountable. Plain and simple. Because if we can't look to the police as examples of how we should behave as citizens, then who do we look towards? But what is more disconcerting about the story to me is that we are entering a world where, look, I've talked about civil conflict, civil war, fine. This is another example of what can lead to these problems. The people on the left, businesses saying, cop bad cop, get rid of them. Even if they didn't do anything wrong. Even if they're good people who abide by the rules and would actually call out the bad actors. It doesn't matter. They're all being thrown aside. If you can't trust the police, who do you trust? More importantly, if one side views them as good people who defend the community and one side views them as bad people, then you have the makings of an ideological rift, which is going to result in massive conflict. And it all goes back to that first domino. Now, obviously, we can go back to the two guys who got arrested, but it can probably go back further than that. You can say, hey, this is the two guys getting arrested starts with this, starts with that. You can keep going back in time and try and figure out how do we get to this point. That's why I say, to me, it all feels so obvious. Like we knew this was going to happen. Starbucks gets, criticized heavily for being racist. Now you have people who say all cops are racist, right? They have ACAB, they say a bunch of offensive things, and now Starbucks employees are saying, you know what, just get rid of the police. Remember this idea where a cop could get like a free hot dog? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia made fun of this joke when it was Dennis and Charlie. I don't know if you're familiar with the show. They basically pretend to be cops and keep getting free hot dogs, because a trope for a long time was the cops would walk up to a hot dog stand and the hot dog guy would be like, hey, for you guys on the house. And the cops would be like, thanks, buddy, because cops were considered officer friendly. But something started to change in our national conversation around police. And then it really took off when digital media realized they could make money off of police brutality. Some websites cracking like Alexa top 500 global websites. I don't know the exact number, so take it with a grain of salt. But some seriously high traffic for websites just by posting police brutality. That's going to make people insane. And it's the same. Look, you want to talk about these online forums where people post nothing but racist messages and how they're being radicalized? Yes. And let's talk about how people are being radicalized in the other direction against police when people are just sharing this content and people make money off it. I'm looking at you, Vox. I'm looking at you, Al Jazeera Plus, leftist organizations that made money off of these videos. It may be that 1 in a million cops does this. I don't know what the actual number is. But now we're seeing people just accusing, smearing police, and it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to result in riots. It's going to result in protests, and it's going to result in animosity in the community. Now these cops are upset. How do you think they feel? It's not a good thing, and it will only escalate. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment will be coming up at 4 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast, and I will see you soon.